Good evening and welcome to Arizona Illustrated for Tuesday, the 18th of September, 2012. I'm Tony Paniagua. A program in Pima County known as Communities Putting Prevention to Work spent more than $15 million to battle obesity and help residents make healthier lifestyle choices. Funding for the two-year project has ended, but efforts continue to curb obesity rates. Luis Carrion has that story.
By now, most people have heard some of the alarming statistics related to the expanding waistlines of Americans. According to data provided by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, obesity among adults has increased by 50% over the last 3 decades, while childhood obesity rates have tripled.
You know, a cherry pie and a Pepsi was many people's lunch when I remember going to school.
Don Gates is with the Pima County Health Department. He's also program manager for Communities Putting Prevention to Work, a national health initiative.
The Communities Putting Prevention to Work grant was part of the Stimulus Act, routed through the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention with the goal of reducing or preventing the spread of obesity. Obesity is, I believe, the greatest public health risk that we as a country will face over the coming decades. With shocking growth, tripling in the adult and child populations in the last generation. In fact, it's reached a point where if trends continue, this generation of children is the first that's expected to not have the same lifespan as their parents, to actually have a shorter lifespan.
The decision to make healthy choices ultimately depends on each individual. But according to Gates, the community as a whole bears the cost of the current obesity problem. He says annual spending on obesity-related healthcare costs is estimated at $500 million in Pima County every year.
And so the public education and outreach campaign, the launch that we had at Mercado San Agustin, was really an opportunity to wave the flag for obesity prevention.
Obesity is perhaps the greatest...
To make people aware that, well, absolutely, individual choice is paramount. It drives how much we eat, how much activity we get. But to educate the community on the barriers that exist to healthy living and healthy activity in our community, and how we can work together to overcome them. And that was really the purpose of the media effort, was to highlight those kinds of barriers, those kinds of issues, and bring back focus to the opportunities that we need to have as a community to make healthy choices.
Gates draws attention to reports that indicate 75% of all healthcare costs are due to chronic conditions including obesity and related diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and arthritis.
In Pima County, we have a new opportunity for a healthier life.
The CPPW grant promoted collaborative partnerships with community-based organizations that ultimately seek to bring down the cost of treating obesity-related ailments.
All the major insurance providers support preventive care. And if insurance companies are supporting it, it's probably a pretty good idea for everybody else to come on board. Because we know at the end of the day that they're really driven by dollars and cents. And if they recognize the value of it, I would hope that we can all learn to recognize the value of prevention.
Funding for the CPPW program has expired, but Gates says obesity prevention is now a more prominent objective for the community as a whole.
It's not simply 2 years, all done, forget about everything we learned. The individual agencies, whether it's the food bank or the YMCA, the United Way, are continuing their same efforts. They're expanding access to healthy food. They're looking for more funding opportunities or taking efficiencies that they've learned so that they can incorporate more nutrition and physical activities into their profile. The Pima County Health Department has really taken on a lot of the work that the schools team from U of A has done. And is continuing to work through a student wellness program here at the health department to maintain that kind of focus and to continue to work with the food service directors, the teachers, the administrators, to push for open playgrounds, to push for healthier food at lunch. So it's not fire and forget, it's not one and done, but it's certainly the first big steps on a path to making Pima County a healthier, more vital place to live.
You can find information on a Pima County assessment of the CPPW Obesity Project on our website at azpm.org.
We continue the conversation about obesity, healthy eating habits, and exercise with Mary Atkinson. She is the Director of Food and Nutrition Services at Tucson Medical Center, and she often works with young people on nutrition and fitness issues outside the hospital. Mary, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So you are a registered dietitian. What inspired you to become engaged in this profession, and what are some of the things that you're seeing out there, some of the trends?
I became involved in dietetics, obviously in college. Always enjoyed exercise and not so much the cooking piece, but understanding kind of the ins and outs of food and their dynamics. The trends we're seeing out there is people want to make the changes, I think, but they're having a hard time knowing what they should be doing and how to stay committed, I think, is the biggest thing.
All right, and let's talk about those two things. Let's begin with food, and then we'll talk about exercise. So people, we were speaking prior to this interview, they know they shouldn't eat those big hamburgers and French fries and sodas, but yet they still go through the drive-thru. What's happening here?
What I hear a lot from clients is that it's just easy. They are too busy. With two parents in a family working, or often single-parent households, they're working long hours, and they have to take care of their kids. They have to get their kids to practice or pick them up from school, so they don't have a lot of extra time, and cooking seems to be the first thing that goes out the window, because you can go through a drive-thru and get your dinner in 10 minutes or less, or you can run into a store and pick up something that you can zap in a microwave. So it's about the convenience most often for people.
And what would be a tip that you might have to try to start working to deal with that?
What I tell a lot of people is you get at least one day off during the week, I would hope. Cook batch meals. Cook things ahead of time so that when you get home, you can defrost them or quickly make them into something else. So if you've pre-cooked your chicken for the week, you can make that into quesadillas, salads, pastas, things of that nature, but the major part is already done, and you just have to do the last finishing touches. So it's just as quick as driving through McDonald's, and but much more healthy.
I know people, for example, who cook a big old pot of pasta and eat that for the week, putting it in containers, freeze it for later.
Absolutely. Things, you could make a healthy lasagna and portion those out. And that's especially a very good tip for people that are single, perhaps, or just it's them and their spouse, or them and a child, that they don't want to cook a big elaborate meal for just two people. So by cooking a large meal ahead of time and then portioning those out, it makes it cost effective and makes it much easier once they get home.
Okay, now exercise, that's the other biggie as far as losing weight. How do people get started? What should people be doing and what isn't happening? What's the disconnect?
The disconnect is getting started, and getting started in an appropriate manner. Like you and I spoke, we see a lot of people generally in January, after they've made their New Year's resolution, that they're going to become active. And so they go to the gym the first time and they stay there for a while, and they get very sore, and they never want to go back again because they don't want to be sore. So they need to approach it with a little bit more of some goals that are achievable, and maybe they start out with just walking, or maybe they just start out with doing some light resistance in order to get their body used to that again. And the other part is that they don't have to do it at a gym. They need to figure out the best way to incorporate it into their life, that it's going to be doable and enjoyable for them, whether it's walking their dogs, or if it's playing basketball with their kids, or walking with their friends, so they have some friend time as well. So they need to find things that they would naturally want to do anyway, and then incorporate exercise into that.
And you mentioned these activities. One of those tips is to be engaged in a group of people, right? Or maybe at least another person, right?
Yes, absolutely. Having somebody else that you're active with keeps you accountable to that activity. It's much easier to say, oh, I don't feel like getting up today, or I'm too tired to go after work walking, than it is to have to call somebody and say, I'm not going with you, because you feel sort of accountable to them. Or if you've been going to some sort of group exercise, that you feel a little more accountable if you have somebody that you're kind of reporting to.
And as you see kids in the community, young people, what are some of the concerns you have about what you are witnessing at the moment?
My concern is what parents are feeding our kids. My other one is that the kids want to be active. Kids naturally like to play outside. They like to be wild and crazy. That's why we have to tell kids, use your inside voice, play inside, because they naturally tend towards activity like that. Unfortunately, because their parents aren't there to watch them, or just because of habits they've learned, they tend more towards the TV or games or things of that nature. So that's a little bit disconcerting, that I see these kids that really want to be active, but they just don't have a lot of the opportunities. So we need to try to provide those for the kids out there.
And there are, of course, success stories. Let's leave people on a positive note as far as what they can do and how they can really make changes in their lives.
Couple success stories. We did a counseling I did with a patient who was trying to prove that she could lose some weight in order to get the lap band surgery. And she lost enough weight that she didn't need the surgery after all, because she'd learned and she had stuck with some positive changes over a course of 3 months. So that was very nice to see. And there's another employee at TMC. He's just a phenomenal inspiration to me. He did have the surgery, but he's one of the few that has kept off the weight, and he's become physically active. And we have long discussions about how far we've walked or run that week. And he's just a great example for other people, that for somebody who is used to be very heavy can change their lifestyle dramatically and can maintain a normal weight for an extended period of time. So it's quite impressive. Okay, great. Mary Atkinson, a registered dietitian here in Tucson. Thank you very much for joining us, and let's hope that some people can get inspired as well. Let's hope so. Thank you for having me. There is a growing movement that is supporting local agriculture throughout the world, and Southern Arizona has various examples. Tonight, we take you to one of them. It's called Sleeping Frog Farms, and it's located in Cochise County, east of Tucson. That's where you'll find 4 young farmers who are tilling the soil and reaping the benefits.
Sure is getting hot, huh? Feels like spring cleaning, kind of.
So on a typical day, we're harvesting, planting, tilling in the new manures and organic material to build more soil.
I'm glad we're fertilizing.
It's like if you have healthy soil, everything else, the plants already know what to do. It's ingrained in the enzymes in the seed. You give it water and healthy soil, they do their thing.
We wake up every morning, and this is our land, and we decide, what to plant and how much food to grow, and we're feeding Tucson, which feels really good.
It started out originally with Debbie, CJ, and myself, who would all work together, and Clay, who's been a longtime friend, just sharing similar interests and values with food and food policy.
Artichoke. We actually grew these from seed, and these are heirloom varieties.
Total have 75 acres. Currently we have 3 of it cultivated, and our hope is to get, within the next year, up to about 12 acres of vegetables.
Maybe we want to save her for when people are tired of eggplant.
Springtime, we've got kale, lettuce, potatoes, a lot of different greens, a lot of different root vegetables going. Summertime is more squash, winter squash, summer squash, cucumbers, okra, tomatoes, and peppers. For 5 years I got out of ag, and it was the most miserable. It almost killed me. Actually, this is like the 5th project like this I've tried to do, but it always failed because the passion of some of the people wasn't there. It wasn't the right group of people for that synergy. This group, it seems like a family.
You went back and we did.
I know, it's like, oh, there's kohlrabi there.
I grew up in Tucson. I was sure I wanted to run away for years, and eventually found my way back and decided it's where I wanted to stay.
Asking for more bunch and greens. I much prefer it outdoors. I'm not much of an indoor person. Yeah, it'd be a nice change. My mother always had amazing gardens and amazing green thumb. So since day one, I've always been, we were by no means farmers, but very much so urban gardeners.
Yeah.
I guess I was always interested in gardening and the idea of growing your own food and kind of homesteading, what that would look like on a family scale.
I was like, I went to go feed the chicks at that point. I was like, Dad, you're going to have to...
Type 2 diabetes and chronic pain and cancer and obesity and all these things that we know now are caused by the way people are eating and the way our society eats. So I decided to quit my job and go grow food instead and be part of that solution.
Good job, Clay. Good job, Clay.
I think we focus a lot on a preventative maintenance, not so much a Western idea, but building healthy soil, building healthy animals, keeping an overall environment of health using the probiotics. But this is basically just organic wheat. It's been fermented out with organic molasses and beneficial bacteria. You know, I mean, we are trying to, in long terms, run this in a way that is both sustainable on an environmental level as well as a financial level. So it is important to us to be able to have a certain quality of life. But, you know, I spent most of my money on high-quality vegetables anyway, so, you know, I might as well be growing my own and purveying that within the community.
What if we do 12 co-op scholars in Yeah, a lot of people have been, you know, gosh, you must feel so isolated. You're in the middle of, we don't get cell phone reception out here, you know. Clay's iPhone doesn't work.
Monday or Sunday night.
It's really challenging here in a lot of ways, but I find it almost easier to grow in this environment than, you know, a dank, overwatered Louisiana or Washington or Montreal. When you love what you're doing, I mean, I think we all find that we can take the work. The harder part is all the variables that are inherent in farming. 1 week we look at a bed and it's like, oh, we've got $500 worth of lettuce there. We'll harvest that next week. And we come out next week and we've had 3 or 4 90-degree days in a row, and that lettuce is done. You know, we missed out on that. Or infestations of bugs, you know, come on, and then at some point you just pull the plants out. You know, when it's really bad, just cut your losses.
Well, you know, I'd say it's hard. It takes a lot of work. It does. We all put in, you know, all the hours that we can. I don't have a day off at all, but it's very rewarding to be able to establish something, to be able to create something, and to be able to see it through. Hi, ladies. When you're able to work with a group of people that are like-minded, it's amazing what can be done, even in just a year with a few sets of hands.
We get sun-dried.
I don't really feel like it's work. This is what we'd be doing on a daily basis. It's just, instead of doing it for someone that has their own idea of how to do things, it's us, and we pretty much all agree.
This is where the water is. This is where the, you know, great expanse of land is, and our goal is really to feed as many families in Tucson as we can, in southern Arizona, really, and this is the land that can do that.
What we did from the beginning was just anything we made went back into the farm to try and increase our growing space. So, you know, at some point that may change. You know, I'm sure we'll get to a point where we feel comfortable with the amount that we have, but we haven't gotten there yet. To us, it's like we've just scratched the surface. So it's almost, at least where it seems right now, it's endless to where we could go and what we could put back into the farm.
We often hear about the beauty and environmental benefits of trees, but experts say planting a tree can also be good for your pocketbook by saving energy in your house. Joining us now is Katie Gannon. She is the director of the Trees for Tucson program that is part of Tucson Clean and Beautiful. Katie, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Tony.
Katie, so right now is a good time to start planting trees because the fall season is underway or approaching us rather fast. What do you want to say about this program?
Oh, Trees for Tucson is a great program, and we have many trees available, and they're wonderful nursery stock right now. And these are just a couple of the trees we have. You can get a variety of desert adapted, and also we have a non-native available as well. So we have a program with the 2 utilities in town, and the trees are available at discount rates.
All right, let's talk about each of these 2 trees. The one closer to you, what is that and how does it grow?
So this is a desert willow, and it's a native tree. And you can probably see it around. It's in bloom several times a year. It's beautiful pink blossoms and attracts hummingbirds and all kinds of native birds. It gets about 25 feet wide and 25 feet tall. And it just does very well in a variety of environments, not too much water. And then this is a non-native tree. This is a red push pistache in the pistachio family, and it has wonderful fall colors, turns bright red and orange in the fall, and drops its leaves. It's deciduous. and it gets larger, about 30 feet high and 30 feet wide, and provides a real thick shade, dark green leaves.
And where do you recommend that they be planted so that the people can gain the benefits on energy savings at their house?
So our programs through the utilities are in order to qualify for the low-cost shade trees, you need to plant them on the west side, the east side, or the south side, and within about 15 feet of your home. And they are trees planted that way, planted correctly, especially on the west side, most preferable, can save you up to 20% on your energy bills.
And some people worry about water use. How are these trees different than maybe some water-guzzling trees that other people might come across?
Well, we don't offer water-guzzling trees, and so you can be assured that won't be a problem. You do need to water extra to get the plants established, especially during the first 2 summers, the first 18 months. But after that, once a month would probably be enough, and the pistache would probably require just a little bit more than that.
And so how does the program work? If you are a TEP or TRICO customer,
yes.
You call up, and then what happens after that?
Yes, you can go to our website, and we have forms you can download for if you're a TEP customer. And then if you're a TRICO customer, you go right to the TRICO website, and you can order and pay online. And so our website is treesfortucson.org, and all the information about both programs is available there as well.
And we were speaking prior to this interview, and the program has been around since 1989, and you're making a lot of trees available every year. Approximately how many trees are up for adoption, if you will?
We're putting out about 5,500 trees per year under these 2 programs with TRICO and TEP. So really significant number of trees going out there.
Do you think more and more people are recognizing the value of having trees in their lives, in their houses, or around their yards and so on?
I think so, and I hope so. The more that we urbanize, the more important trees become, especially in our climate. Trees are so important for the shade-giving qualities. Street trees support physical activity, people walking and bicycling, with urban heat island effect that is really confronting us now. Trees cool the environment up to 7 degrees. They provide habitat for native birds. They're beautiful. They calm people. They also slow traffic down. The studies show when you plant them on a street, cars tend to go much slower.
And what about maintenance? What about some might say, well, I sort of want to plant them, but I don't want to have to do a lot of work throughout the year to try to keep these things growing and healthy.
Well, that's good. We actually recommend that you not trim or fuss with them too much. That some people tend to over-trim trees, and especially during the first couple of years, you want to leave those lower branches in place because it helps the trunk get wider and gain strength. So really, after a couple of years, just start trimming the trees up the trunk and start lifting it up a little bit, and that should be enough.
Okay, and then finally, Tucson Clean and Beautiful depends on volunteers and donations. Why would you recommend that somebody get involved in this program?
Because trees are great, trees are cool, trees are fun, kids love trees, need trees, and so if we have a tree bank that you can donate to, and we're really focused on getting more trees out to schools, in schoolyards, working with the school districts and the individual schools, and it's just plant a tree and you're investing in the future.
Okay, Katie Gannon, the director of the Trees for Tucson program here in the city of Tucson. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it.
Now we go to tonight's video postcard about some of the interesting places or events in our community.
My name is Joy Juarez, and that's what I go for as my designer name. My name is Jane Arich, and I've been painting needlepoint canvases for 40-some years. My mother brought home a piece that I thought, a needlepoint piece that she'd bought at a store, and I thought, why did she pay so much money for that? Mom, I can do that, I said. I do contemporary art and abstract, but I spent some time in the Orient, so when I came home, I developed my own Asian taste. I like to do landscapes, I like to do animals, I do a lot of floral pieces. It's a really complicated little process, and it takes years to perfect. We order canvas that is 18 mesh, and it's very, very fine canvas, and we have to look through that canvas so that we can get the image that's behind the glass, because we don't want to mess up the tracing. So then we start our painting after the canvas is put on the top. I've done quite a lot of photography in New Mexico and Arizona, and then I use those photos and images as my resource material.
They were the most beautiful.
When we finish, sometimes we'll cut our paintings in two and give to each other so that we'll have that memory.
You can get more news and information on our website, azpm.org. To comment on any story you saw tonight, click on it online and go to the bottom. We can also be reached via Facebook and Twitter. Coming up tomorrow night, experts are finding some educational success in improbable places such as juvenile detention centers. Poetry Family Days are coming up soon, and the Chinese Culture Festival in Tucson is beginning on Saturday. I'm Tony Paniagua from all of us at Arizona Public Media. Have a great night.